And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to discuss the teams that are kind of fraudulent. And the Dolphins are one of them. The Dolphins, unfortunately, are one of them. And I'm also going to put the Detroit Lions in that category as well. These two teams have high-powered offenses. There's no question about it. But more recently for the Lions, but really all year, there's been a lot of people that are, skeptical with the Dolphins because, they put up 70 points. Well, now the Broncos are a completely different team. I mean, who knows? If the Broncos played the Dolphins again, it would be much more competitive, and maybe the Broncos would pull out a win there. But, I mean, you're putting up 70 points against the Broncos when they looked like one of the worst teams in football. I mean, the Panthers, the Commanders, from a couple weeks ago. You only beat the Raiders by 7, who can't even score points against the Vikings. And then you go up against the better teams. You get killed by the Bills in Buffalo earlier in the year. You lose to the Chiefs, which you almost came back in that game, but still, you lost to the Chiefs. They couldn't beat the Eagles. You could point to a lot of games where, they you can point to all these games that they played, and they really haven't beaten anybody. They just haven't. And, last night you lose to a team that has not won a single road game this year, a team that's been very bad on the road. And, rookie quarterback who's been struggling a little bit after his debut. And, yeah, you end up losing that game. That's a game at home. That's a game you should have won. And I blame the defense towards the end of the game because that was, you were up 2 scores, with under 3 minutes left, and you just let that team go right down the field. DeAndre Hopkins, carved up, that defense yesterday. He had a big game. Will Levis played really well. I should say Will Levis carved up the defense towards the end. DeAndre Hopkins was a big part of that. That's what I meant to say. But, yeah, because Will Levis went 23 of 38, 327 yards, a touchdown, a pick. They held Derrick Henry to 34 yards rushing, so you would think, they should have done okay, right? No, they lost. Because DeAndre Hopkins had 7 for 124 yards and a touchdown. Tajay Spears had 6 for 89 yards. I don't know what happened with the defense at the end, but, yeah, that was not good. And going forward, right now you look at the top, 2 seeds in the AFC. I think it's probably, Baltimore I think is going to get the 1 seed. But as for the 2 seed, probably it's still going to be the Chiefs. Listen, the crazy thing is the Broncos are 1 game back of the division lead in the AFC West. So that's something to keep an eye on. But, for me, I feel like the Chiefs still have the division. I don't think they're gonna pass them, but who knows? But yeah, the Dolphins are probably gonna have either the 3 or they might have one of the wild card spots, because again, their schedule is really tough towards the end of the season. And listen, Buffalo's got a tough schedule too, but I could see the Dolphins slipping up and the Bills maybe having a shot, especially with that last game. Those 2 teams are playing each other. So, we'll see what happens. But, that was they right now look like frauds, especially losing to a team that just, is got a rookie quarterback, hasn't won a road game. They're not going anywhere. And, right now they look like frauds, and they haven't beaten a good team yet. So that's one team. Then I got to go to the other team, which is a team that I again, don't like saying it to because they got a lot of talent, like the head coach a lot. But unfortunately, the Detroit Lions fall under this category as well. They have not been playing great for a while, especially their defense. Their defense has been very bad. And, on Sunday, Jared Goff playing in cold weather did not play well. The offense really couldn't get anything going, And, the defense, yeah, they gave up some big plays. I mean, on a 4th and 13, Bears get a free play, and Justin Fields connects with DJ Moore for that long touchdown. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to even the Chargers game, too. I mean, they gave up 38 points to the Chargers, who have a high-powered offense. Well, now Justin Herbert, is going to be out. But, you gave up 38 points to the Chargers. I mean, you let Jordan Love and the Packers carve you up on Thanksgiving. The Saints almost came back against you. Justin Fields, his first game back from being injured. He plays well. They almost beat you, and then they just beat you on Sunday. So, listen, I looked at this team as, being better than the Cowboys at one point during the year, but no, that is not the case anymore. And you go back to even earlier in the season. They played Seattle. That game went to overtime. Seattle beat them, what was it, 37-31? Whatever the score was in that game, 36-30, it was something like that. This team, they go up against good offenses, and they can't stop anything. And now, they're going to be playing Dallas in a couple of weeks. In Dallas, yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to win that game. They still got the Vikings twice. And they got the Broncos on Saturday for that triple header. That's the final game of the triple header. Listen, the Broncos, their offense is not. The offense has been better. Well, the offense has been good all year, relatively, but it's not this high-powered offense where they're going to put up 30 points. They play good defense. They run the football well. Russell Wilson plays mistake-free football. That's how they win games. They lost that close game to the Texans a couple weeks ago. But, they turned the ball over 3 times. You don't do that, and maybe, things are different. But the Lions definitely can win that game. But, I don't know. Broncos got a good defense. Their defense has been playing better. And they just continue their winning formula. And Lions might find themselves losing another game. It's been a tough stretch for them, and this team has a lot of talent. It's just between the defense and Jared Goff turning the ball over, it hasn't been good. It hasn't been good, and I just look at them right now. When you compare them to the other teams in the NFC, I have to they're the 4th best team right now. I mean right now you got the 49ers and the Cowboys as the top 2 teams. The Eagles, right behind them. And yeah, I mean, you put them there. That's how it should be, literally, after the last 2 weeks. And then I think the Lions, you put them there. I mean, I think they still win the division. But I mean, this team also could be one and done, depending on who they play. Like if they have to play the Packers again, I mean, it's gonna be a tough game. But I don't know. But I unfortunately have to put them in the fraud category. There's a lot of people putting the Jags in the fraud category. I don't know if I want to put them there because I feel like we kind of know what they are. They're still good. Like all these teams are still good teams, but if you want to talk about taking it to the next level, they're not there. They're not there. I think the Jags, we kind of know what they are. They're a good team. But they got some inconsistencies. They've played down to their competition. I mean, losing to Jake Brown. I mean, Jake Browning the last 2 weeks has looked good. I mean, against the Colts too, who were riding hot, 7-5, and the Bengals beat them, and the Bengals have re-entered the playoff conversation. I was like, this season's over, but not so fast, because they play the Vikings this week. Vikings have their quarterback issues. You play the Steelers. They got their quarterback issues. You play Kansas City. They have issues, but not a quarterback. And then they play the Browns at home. So I mean, and they have quarterback issues. Well, I mean, it's not as bad as the Steelers because I mean Joe Flacco. I think right now you would take, believe it or not, you would take Joe Flacco over Mitchell Trubisky. Right now. Which is not saying that much. But you at least favor the Browns' quarterback situation. And Well, the Browns have a better situation on offense than the Steelers do. But yeah, I mean, so the Bengals, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, right now the main thing of this segment is you look at the Dolphins and the Lions, who were teams that could maybe, go to the next level. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, even with the healthy Tyreek Hill, I just, unfortunately, I just don't think they're going to get to that next level with Tua quarterback. I think they're kind of held back, and they have a very good running game. They got weapons all over the place, but this was a game that kind of exposed Tua a little bit, and he's played really well during the season. He's definitely a part of the MVP conversation, but it really should be Tyreek Hill. And, I saw on social media it should be between Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. It should be. There shouldn't be. Now, I think there's a few quarterbacks. I mean, you look at Purdy and Dak Prescott. I don't know about Jalen Hurts has kind of taken a hit with his MVP consideration the last couple of weeks. Those guys you could look at and say, they're MVP candidates, but I think it should be between Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. It definitely should be. I mean, it's going to be tough now. Tyreek Hill might not get to 2,000 yards, especially with him being hurt. I mean, I mean, the fact that he came back into the game, and I think they're going to, make sure that they're not going to put. They didn't want to push it in the game last night, but we'll see what that situation's like going forward. But it should be a player that's not a quarterback. We'll take another look at the MVP odds. Tomorrow, actually, we'll do that. We'll also talk about the Heisman Award as well. That'll be a segment tomorrow. But the MVP shouldn't be. I think this is probably the year where it shouldn't be a quarterback, but it probably still end up being one anyways. So before we go into our second break, I just want to remind you guys again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. Again, that really helps the show and makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the bottom of the show segment down below on the ticker there. So, when we come back from our second break of the show, we will talk about the Browns, them picking up a win against the Jags on Sunday. Because I know we did a segment last week on, who the Browns should start at quarterback, and I think as of right now, they should keep, starting Flacco. But we will talk about that more when we come back from our second break of the show. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.